all right?
All right, we are here for Roll for Mastery, Julie and I, once again. And this time we are not talking about a topic so much as we're going to debate a topic, something that's
We're gonna
of
attempt.
interest to me. It's been a hot topic here in role-playing games and D&D in particular here for a couple of years now. It all started when the COVID pandemic hit, what, 3 years or so ago, 4 years ago? I've lost track of time.
2019.
Um, when we were all kind of quarantined, right? We were all staying home. We weren't going out as much. We weren't socializing as much, and in-person gaming, role-playing
Died.
game when you play in person with people, kind of shifted from in person to hey, let's play online because that allowed people to still play.
And be
And
safe.
subsequently, as a result of that, people still now play online even though we're back in person with people. So, for some reason, since then, and is there a correlation or not? I don't know. But since then, there's been a hot topic debate of whether the dungeon master or the game master should be compensated, like monetarily paid to run that game for you. Now, I don't think that really was as much of a deal prior to the online boom of RPGs, but it has become now. So that is a hot topic debate of whether they should get paid. Then it's a question of how much or what that compensation would be or how it's compensated and so on. So Julie and I are electing to spend a few minutes today to debate that. And debate more so than discussion because we're going to each choose one side and argue that side against each other. So I have been told that I'm going to argue that they should be paid, and Julie's going to argue the side that they should not be paid. And we'll
Opening rebuttal.
we'll see how that goes. So, with that said, we're going to kind of follow the more traditional um, format of a debate.
Setup.
Oh, while we have no
Yeah.
moderator, it's just us. We'll kind of pass the
Our
flag
own
or pass the
moderators.
whatever. So only when Julie's done or Julie will speak and I will be silent. It's difficult for both of us to be silent while the other person is speaking, to be respectful of that. And when she's done, then I will take my turn and we'll kind of go back and forth like that till we feel like we're done. So, with that said,
Oh, oh.
Julie, I will put you up first,
Oh,
arguing
thanks.
or
Hot,
debating
hot.
that DMs should not be paid. Ready? Oh, we can actually do a clock. We'll do how much time we want. You want five
Little
minutes?
timer?
You want 3 minutes at a time?
Do you think 3 minutes is too short?
I don't know. It was three. We'll go. We can back and forth every 3 minutes. 5 minutes?
3 minutes might be long enough. No, I think five is too long,
Okay,
don't
3 minutes. Oh,
you?
yeah, hang on. I actually have my
Three.
my saying glass timer for that. Hang
And
on.
timer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sit there and hold it in front of me. I could go get mine if you want. We could both have a 3 minute timer and set it at the same time. Oh, he's not on the call.
3 minutes. All right, we have the 3 minute
I
saying
said,
glass timer.
Did you also want me to go get mine out of my car so that we could both have this
Well,
timer?
I can alert you, and I
You're
can
gonna hold it up,
yeah,
right?
and I can show you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. So Julie and I both use sand glass timers, like our timers, during our game to keep our players moving and keep the game moving because sometimes they'll just get all chatty and take
I do it for
forever to
travel.
plan something, and we say no. Here's your timer. Do it now, or something's going to happen. So
I do a 3 minute. I do it. They usually come up with plans fairly quickly. I don't have to do it for that. I do it for like role play. Not really. Actually, I don't do timers for role play. I do it for travel. I only ever use my timer for travel. So I'll do 3 minutes of role play and then random encounter. 3 minutes of
yeah,
role
yeah. I
play,
mean,
random
and I
encounter.
don't
Three
use it
minutes
for
role
for
play,
social
random
role
encounter.
play, social interaction. But if they're formulating a plan, trying to plan
And
their
it's taking
combat
too long.
or plan how they're going to breach the door, get in the house, or what they're going to do, some of these guys, well, I had some players at some points that would spend 10, 15, 20 minutes if I let them just coming up with a game plan.
Yeah,
No, we're not going to take
yeah.
20
Or not,
minutes.
not.
No, we're not going to take 15 minutes to formulate a plan for a 60-second interaction. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
you are arguing that
Ready.
DM should not be paid. Ready? Go.
Set. Go. Um, I think my main point, I guess, is going to be hello. This is my debate. Um, My main point is going to be that it's all for fun, and that it is a game, and you are usually in a game with friends. I know that doesn't happen as often, but that is the very small percentage. And then the other point that I do like to make is that it's DM is the volunteer. You volunteer to be a DM. Sometimes I guess your friends could push you to be a DM, but I think if you volunteer for that, you kind of know what's up. You kind of know what you're getting yourself into. I guess if it comes to like your party pushing you to do more or pushing you in a direction you don't feel comfortable with or pushing you into more work, then that again becomes the smaller percentage. And I guess I'm leaving a little bit of a wiggle. I'm not 100% no, but it is a game that you play for fun in your free time. It is a hobby that you play for fun in your free time. I think people should just generally be supportive and provide snacks or provide drinks or provide stuff out of just the kindness of their heart. Bring in a mini, bring in some dice. Here, DM, I love you so much. Have a whole box of cookies. Here, DM, here's a box of donuts. Here, party, look at all these snacks I brought, just out of the kindness of their heart. That way, the DM doesn't have to do all of it and have a repertoire or a funding to then facilitate enjoyment and fun and pleasure. I guess unless it's for strangers or for maybe a new kind of party setup. What's my time at?
Plenty.
Plenty. uh, but I guess what other point could I have? What other point could I make? Yeah, 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 yeah.
You can always
I don't
yield
know.
your
It's just a
time.
commitment that you know that yeah you get into, and I guess that's about all I got. Yeah, I can't do anything else besides that.
Okay. Then I will
Go.
then I will take the same amount of time as I have it
Ah.
sideways here for now. Okay. So DMs should be paid, I think, unquestionably, because the amount of work that is involved is substantial. At least if you have a DM who's kind of worth their weight, so to speak, puts in the effort, they should be compensated for that. Now, do players put in work? No. They should, but no. And as for playing with my friends, no, I don't. And as far as I understand, Julie, the group you play with now, when you started, you didn't have a personal one-on-one relationship with them. They weren't your
No.
friends, so to speak. So you should have been compensated for that. You should have been paid. At least maybe after the first couple sessions, first session or two, you kind of feeling each other out. Hey, I like to play at this table. Julie's running a good game. I'm on board. Yeah, toss me something. Now, what should that compensation be? I'll get to that here in a few minutes, but let's first talk about whether we should or shouldn't, right? So, whether they're my friends or not is irrelevant to the amount of work and effort that I put into the game. So, on a week to week session, it will vary based upon the DM, of course, and what the campaign is that is being run. But the general rule from all that I see and read that a DM is putting in 15 minutes to an hour in prep for every hour of gameplay. So if I'm running a 4-hour game session, I'm probably putting in of upwards of an hour or minimum of about an hour to get ready for that. Whether that be coming up with maps, getting my maps ready online, reading through the campaign, preparing encounters, and so on. So there's a lot of time that's involved, and that is what needs to be recognized and therefore compensated. And I'm out of time. Ready?
I guess then after opening your rebuttal, you go into each statement, right? Kind of like a paragraph setup.
I don't know. I've never been a debater.
I've done a professional debate. Professional. I've done a debate for class purposes as a project one time. Mine was based off of mine was like
All
racism
right,
or
but
something like that.
let's
It
let's
was
also
weird.
remember, Julie, that neither you nor I have any notes whatsoever prepared for this. So we have no structure
Oh
other
yeah,
than our
no,
structure is we're just flipping back and forth. So we'll flip back and forth, and you continue to argue your point, to finish your point, or argue against mine.
go ahead. Um, so you had stated like that the effort or that I should have been compensated maybe the first time or the second time because they're not really my friends. Um, which I think I theoretically did because the store didn't make me pay for it. So I theoretically saved $5, but everybody else had to pay $5. The store didn't pay me, but I guess I could have wiggled into a payment situation. Maybe give me a booster pack. That's $5. Pay me $5. To like run a game or two, especially if it was quote unquote for the store. Like when I was doing those one shots, to one shot every single week and get a table going and advertise and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe I should probably have been compensated. I was just doing it for fun. I didn't really care. But I still don't think that's the majority of D&D players. In my situation specifically, I know there's a lot of Facebook chatter and people looking for groups and stuff like that. But I think if you were to like take a poll or take a percentage of people who play D&D, if they play with strangers they've then made into a friendship circle, or if they have played with already established friend groups, I think the percentage is going to sit closer to I've played with friend groups or I play with family. Um, and that's another one. You play with your family, you want your family to pay you. Um, I guess maybe rotating places where I play at a game store, so rotating doesn't really work. But like I still think that players could voluntarily offer things towards the benefit of the rest of the party and towards the benefit of the DM's effort. They can respect the DM's effort. I think that's another like form of payment. Um, but that the players don't stomp all over what the DM did, or they play along instead of fighting the DM every second they get. They try not to be toxic or whatever. Trying to change host locations is a good one, because it does take money and effort to host a party. So if you rotated the party around, then maybe they could help to facilitate a free situation where the DM can come to the house and everything's already prepared and set up. Again, people donating instead of paying, donating snacks, donating their time, donating their house, um, donating resources like minis and things like that, or donating time to help uh, paint terrain or to help build terrain. Again, it's all about like facilitating donation instead of facilitating payment. If you have a table that doesn't want to do shit and doesn't want to respect your effort, but you still want to put that effort in, then I mean probably should get paid for that. But if they are willing to put in the time and the effort, I think that free is still an option as long as there is that
Time.
effort. Time.
All right. Well, Julie, thank you for supporting my argument here, because several times in there
Oh,
I heard you say, "Oh yeah, I should get paid. I was kind of sort of getting paid," but the setting that Julie and I
eh.
DM in person is the game store charges everyone $5, and there's an
You get the room, you
agreement,
get a snack,
kind of a
right?
spoken and unspoken agreement that if you DM and therefore bring people in, the DM doesn't have to pay that use fee for that game space, but everyone else does. But that's not really compensation. That's not being paid, and that's not really not what we're talking about. But as for your argument that the DM is kind of paid, that someone's bringing snacks or bringing minis, whatever. No, I don't feel as though that is compensation. That's really not what we're talking about. And I think that this one I'll be kind of mean, Julie. Like that, and that was the best argument you were able to come up with, which further supports my argument that yes, they should be paid because you don't have something to really counter that.
Yes.
But hang on, my turn, my turn. So so bringing snacks, bringing minis, or supportive whatever, a game board, whatever. That's not compensation for the DM. That's what's used during gameplay. Okay, the DM has all those hours of prepping, reading the module ahead of time, sometimes dozens or hundreds of pages in preparation for that. They have to prepare their weekly sessions, their encounters. They need to be prepared for that social role play. They need to be prepared for the players to pivot and make a completely different shift that they're not ready for. Now, a DM, as you know, role plays every character that the players don't have. So every NPC, non-player character that is encountered in the world is on the shoulders of the DM. Good guys, bad guys, all parties involved. And that needs to be prepared. Personalities need to be honed for some of these characters that will be encountered time and time again, week after week. Sometimes we're talking about voices, if the DM has that ability. Again, preparing in terms of preparation, having maps, perhaps having minis, bringing that to the table. If we're talking online, virtual, then I got maps on my screen that I've developed or purchased that I need to share with you. VTT, virtual tabletop software, so we could all play on the same medium with dynamic lighting and the mapping and rolling dice on that. That takes time to put all that together. That takes money as well. And I don't know of any DM who's getting paid that says, oh, in addition to paying me, you need to contribute to the cost of this. No, it's all kind of built in. And that's one of the many reasons why DMs should get paid. Go.
Um, I guess my side of the argument I have kind of made not into no, but into donation. No adjacent. um, I just for some people it's just not possible to pay their DM. People are in a kind of past thinking, a pre-COVID thinking that D&D is just free, and so a lot of people actually bitch and complain. Which I mean, I guess then goes to show that they shouldn't be at your table. My party specifically, I'm arguing against my own thing because I have a party fund. My players have voluntarily donated money to the team, to the party. I am the leader of the party, and I should actually physically try to spend some of that money because it's just sitting in my wallet right now doing nothing. So maybe I should try and spend some money to maybe print some more minis or make some more terrain or, you know, buy a fun t-shirt. I always push for a fun t-shirt because I really want one. Anyway, I got off topic. I think a lot of it still is donation because it's voluntary. The DM has volunteered. The DM has wanted to. It is a lot of effort, and it is something that they want to hone and want to like make the best. Roll20's free, except all the little. I think you can even get maps and tokens and stuff for free. I don't think you have to pay for it. I think it's all free. I think Foundry is free too. Maybe not. Foundry might not be free. I think you have to pay for Foundry. I think we looked that up last time. But it's volunteer based. And the quality of the DM is also another thing. If you're paying for a quality DM, if you know that DM is high quality, then maybe giving them a little shmish shmish. I love you. I love your DMing so much. Is an option. But if it's a shitty DM, why are you paying them? Why would you not try it out for free? Why would you not go find a free table if the DM's not worth it? Some DMs don't put in that effort. They don't make their own maps. They don't make their own minis. They come in with gummy bears and a dry erase board and their own stuff for them and expect everybody to bring their own stuff for the party. They do their own prep, but even some of those DMs don't do any of that prep. They don't read the module. They don't prepare for nuanced NPCs and funny accents. They don't do any of that shit. And some of them even still expect to get paid. I haven't looked at some of the online advertisements, but some of them are ridiculous. It's like $20 the seat per session, and it gets a little crazy. I mean, I guess people still pay for it, but so yeah, some people just can't afford it and they decide against it and they don't want to do it. And there's my timer. Time.
And go. All right, so
And go.
you said some people can't afford it. All right, let me go back. You said if I'm playing with my family, okay, that's an exception. That's really not the context we're talking about, right? We're playing with my family. No,
Percentage.
okay, no, I'm not going to charge my family, right? If I'm sitting down with my friends and I'm playing a board game, no one's paying anyone, right? We all come together. Maybe someone brings snacks, but the amount of prep involved in me setting out a board game is 30 seconds. So no. So
D&D for
my time. So you said, well, some people can't afford it, and old school thinking that we're just playing to come together to play a game. Yes, I get it. Whether you can afford it or not does not constitute whether the DM should be paid or not. I can't afford to go to the doctor, but the doctor should get paid for the services that he provides. Okay? I can't afford to fix my car, but the mechanic needs to get paid for when he fixes my car, parts and labor, right? Just because I can't afford it does not change the value that's being provided, does not change the fact that I'm receiving a service, I'm receiving entertainment that has tangible value to that. When I go to the, in terms of cost, since you touched upon that, $20 for a session
I, I've seen it.
sounds pretty reasonable to me. 3, 4, 5 hours, that sounds reasonable. When I go to the movies, I went to see the Formula One movie the other day. Okay, 2.5 hours. I paid what, 15 or 20 bucks. Okay, and you say, well, what if the DM's not good? Well, what if that movie wasn't good? Do I get my money back? No, I paid to go see
And
that movie. It sucked. Well, it didn't, but the movie sucked, and I left. And I count my losses and say, man, that movie sucked. I'm not going to go to that style of movie again. I don't like that genre. I don't like that producer or that director. It didn't work for me, so I'm not going to go participate more in that. So if I have a paid session and I pay this guy whatever dollar amount is irrelevant. I paid him, and I don't like this DM, then I just don't go back. It's a one-time deal. I'm done.
mm,
But as for the dollar value, and I go to the movies and pay whatever 15, 20 bucks, and I get 90 minutes of entertainment, an hour and a half. Well, at that rate, paying a DM 20 bucks for 3 or 4 hours is a better value than the just sitting there watching the movie where you're not even participating in the activity. So paying your DM a few dollars, I don't think should be unheard of. Well, it's not unheard of anymore, but the concept should not be offensive to people. If I said, hey guys, on Tuesday night, man, Julie plays my Tuesday night game. Hey, listen, I'm spending a lot of time on this, man. Like, I'm getting to a point where I can't spend this much time getting ready for the game. So we're going to do one or two things. Either I need a little compensation to make up for the time I'm spending, or I just do zero prep, or we don't play at all.
mm.
Okay? You want to go again? Back to you.
Yeah. What? How long has the video been already?
22 minutes.
Okay, so we're getting close. Uh, you had stated stuff about like going to see the doctor or going to see a mechanic. And I hate to say this about myself. Um, but being a DM is sadly not a professionalized thing. We don't go through training for it. We don't go through professional training or professional standard or any kind of like professional certification. Uh, Mine is silly advertisement that you posted to go get taught by YouTuber personalities. Um, and earn your little DM certificate. Which I guess is also something the party could pay for, I guess. Could it be lucrative to be an online DM playing one shots week by week by week, charging $20 per session, and that's somebody's entertainment, and you're paying for the entertainment? I guess so. I mean, I guess that's what like the steamy sites are, like OnlyFans. People pay for entertainment, whether they're professional or not, because those ladies aren't professional. Men and women, whatever they are. Um, but I assume again it's still volunteer. You volunteered for this. You knew what was gonna happen as a DM, and whether you were pushed to that by your friend group or you decided to do it on your own, you're still deciding to do it. It's still volunteer. And then that's another decision. Are you deciding to do it for free? Are you deciding to do it because you want to do it with your friends? Are you deciding to do it because it's fun for you and it itches your brain that special kind of way? Is it more of a hobby you want to make some side cash on? If it's a hobby you want to make side cash on, then that's a different. I feel like this isn't proving my debate in either direction. But I feel like there should be a separate D&D for people who want to make a living out of it. Um, it should be like called something else, like D&D Pro or something like that, D&D Plus. And then you can like sign up and you can go through a training program or a little training video, and then you would be like a certified DM, and then that certified DM could then get paid. But like you doing it at home with your friends, you volunteered for it. You're volunteering your house, you're volunteering your time, you're volunteering your effort. DMs have just as much fun as the players do. It's just as much a board game for the DM as it is for the players. The DM does have to put in a bunch of effort, but I mean, again, some DMs don't put in any effort. Entire homebrew worlds, they just do for fun. They would do without a party of players sitting in front of them, sitting there writing a book, writing a novel.
All right, so the compensation aspect of the doctor has received training, the mechanic has received training. Yes, they have. So you're referring to credentialing. And I don't think you need credentials to be a DM. That does not change the quality of the DM. There are many mechanics who do side work and get paid for it, right? They work in the shop and on the weekend they do side work. There are plenty mechanics or part changers, really, who have no affiliation with the shop, have no formal training, no certification whatsoever, and do fantastic work on their own on the side and should be compensated for that. So
Yes.
credentialing is not a valid enough argument. Perhaps medical, yeah, well, medical obviously you need certification and training for that, right? So maybe that wasn't the best example in terms of, but in terms of compensation, service received, service paid. Yes, I still stand by that. But in terms of using that as an example of, um, requirements to be the doctor or the nurse or whatever, yes, there's requirements for that. There's no requirements. There's no training needed or necessary to be a DM. It's all kind of self-taught. There's some exceptions now. People are running classes, things like that. But for the most part, you read the book and you started running a game. Now, you said sometimes people are thrown earlier. You said sometimes people are just kind of thrown into it. Their friends say, "Hey, you do it." Well, yeah, okay. And I want to play, so therefore I'm going to yield because no one else wants to do it, and my desire to play is obviously stronger than yours because I'm willing to yield and be the DM and put all the work in. Does that mean that shouldn't be recognized and compensated in some way? No, it doesn't. And if the DM elects to not get paid, that's on them. But there are plenty who elect to get paid, and I think they have that right to do that, and should not only should be able to do that, should do that because the amount of work that's involved and the amount of cost that's involved. You print out minis, you print out terrain, you take the time. Granted, you enjoy it. A lot of people enjoy their work and they still get paid for it, right? I don't mind my work and I get paid for it. Other professions I've worked in, I've loved it, and perhaps would have done when I wouldn't have done it for free because I need to earn a living. But I loved it and I still got paid for it. So it's not about how much I like it. It's really about the amount of work that's involved, and that not only should be recognized, and it should be recognized with via compensation. Now, the quality that you receive, yeah, that should affect compensation as well. Just like the quality of work I receive when the guy comes to fix my plumbing or build me a shed or whatever, that the level quality of product and services I received should be directly reflected in the compensation that's provided.
The movie example was a good one. Going to go see a movie for entertainment because the movie isn't professional, it's not credentialized, They just stream the movie. You could stream your shit at home if you wanted to. Um, but I guess that's the biggest thing. You could do it at home. There is always a free option to then doing it and getting it paid for. You could fix your own plumbing. Well, not for free. You have to go buy the parts and stuff like that. But it's still on you. Instead of hiring a plumber, you could do it yourself. So like for like players or for DMs and players, if the compensation is okay with the DM, like what you said, whether they elect to not get paid is up to them and is personal choice. And I think a lot of people uh, wouldn't want to have their friends pay for something that they, again, volunteered to do. Um, I it is a certain percentage of people, and again, I wish I had some percentages to lay down the law on, but I don't, because we're silly and we're doing this for fun. But I bet you the percentage of people who are doing it with friend groups, with already established friend groups, groups of people that they've known for 5 or 10 years, groups of people that they've known even for just 1 year. Um, that they decided to play D&D with friends first, strangers second. Those people on Facebook who are advertising, I need a group, I need a group, I need a group, I just moved, please give me a group. give me something, please, please, please. Those are people who do not have friend groups. Those are people who want to make new friends. I guess it's kind of like speed dating at that point. Um, but you go and you see about making new friends. And if you have to pay your DM, you have to pay to make friends. I don't think people would do it as often, which is, I guess, why you don't see it happening as often. Because again, it's a little archaic that people think just D&D is done in the basement of some guy's house for free, and that compensation is given in the form of food and snacks and drinks and good vibes, paying you in vibes only. Um, and some people are fine with that because even though snacks isn't going directly towards the DM, it is going towards some of the pressure of hosting a D&D party, or hosting a party in general. The use of, again, back to the use of someone else's house or rotating houses to try and ease and lighten that pressure. Of course, the players can't help with source material or NPCs because it's like a play or a movie. You don't want to give away the player the movie. I feel like if they could help with that kind of stuff, they would, depending on the friend group. I mean, I guess some of them wouldn't. Goodbye, timer. I knew thee well.
All right, so you're right. I can hire a plumber, or I can do it myself. But I don't have the skill sets or the tools to be a plumber
No.
or to be the construction guy to build me a shed. So therefore, that's not an option. Okay, and not only that, if I choose to be the DM and do it myself, I can't play by myself. Right? So I
There
still
is solo
I
D&D.
not as the DM. So I also
Oh,
need other people. So there's a supply demand factor here that kind of linked into the example you gave of, oh, you be your own plumber. You can fix your own shit. Well, no, I can't. That's one of the things I absolutely do not do is plumbing around the house. Will not, cannot.
Flush your
From
house.
experience, it doesn't go well. But we have a supply and demand factor. Okay, everyone wants to play, but no one wants to DM.
No.
So supply and demand, basic economics 101. There's a strong demand and little supply. So therefore, to kind of entice people to DM, maybe we need to incentivize it. We need to monetize that. Now, you said about people on Facebook looking for groups. Yes, 100%. Yes, they shouldn't pay to make friends. But then again, if they're on there looking to make friends for that venue or that medium, well then maybe they can't make their own friends, and that might be the only way they can get
No.
friends is to join a D&D game. And if it costs them $20 a week, then so be it. Better to pay that and make friends than have no friends and have $20 in my pocket. So obviously they're interested in that, otherwise they wouldn't be reaching out. Now, most of the context of paid DMs is online, not in person. Now that's not
Right.
100%, but most. Now, being that you mentioned about online, social media, websites, there are websites that are specific for paid role-playing games. Again, with the emphasis on D&D, because that's perhaps the most well-known, largest role-playing game that's out there right now. We're at the 50-year mark. So, are you proposing then that these websites should all not exist? That there's not a need for them? Yes, there's a need for them because it connects the player with the DM. So what you're suggesting really is that the DMs who are getting on this website to say, "Hey, I'm running a game. Let me know if you want to play in the game." Shouldn't be compensated. Shouldn't be able to ask for compensation because all DMs should be doing this for free out of the kindness of their heart. I mean, I don't think that's a fair argument. That if the DM wants to get paid and finds people to pay them, then they have a service they're providing. They have themselves a little side hustle, a little business, whatever you want to call it. And if people are willing to pay, then I'm collecting their money. It's just the way it is. All right, we'll go. How you want to call it there? Or you want to go closing arguments
One more, and then we'll go into closing statements.
or closing
The
arguments? Right,
closing argument.
closing
Yeah.
arguments now. Go ahead.
Closing argument now. Um, I'm not necessarily saying I should have I should have been debating a maybe. um, choice of. Uh, it's not necessarily that they shouldn't or that they can. It then becomes a business. which is to a lot of people not D&D. D&D isn't a business; it's a hobby. It's a game. You pay for the game, which they pay for their books and they pay for their dice and they pay for their minis. If they use minis or they pay for a VTT to join a game, but it is a hobby. It's still just for funsies. If it's a business, then it's a business. If it's a hobby, it's a hobby. If you want to make your hobby into a business, that is entirely up to you and is your decision. But should all DMs be getting paid just because of the effort involved, whether they want it to be a business or not, is what we're kind of really truly debating. Because a lot of DMs, the compensation is the hobby, and the hobby is hanging out with friends and enjoying your time with your friends. Um, I think still that not all DMs should get paid monetarily with money, and that compensation can still just be good vibes and can still just be the use of a house or the use of snacks or food. I still think that compensation varies depending on person and level of hobby to business. Um, if it's a hobby, it's a hobby, and to get paid to do your hobby is literally a job and is literally a business. That is like almost the definition of a job or a business. Um, but I guess theoretically not really. You could get paid for doing something you don't enjoy. But making your hobby into a side hustle or into a business is definitely a personal decision, and one that would have to be discussed or, I guess, what do you, probed, not probed, I don't know what the word is, like sniffed out, to see if it would be a viable option to make a living off of. If it's for hobby, it's for hobby, and to get compensated for your hobby is a little silly. In which case, it's a business. Um, to then ask for compensation for a hobby is a business. And a lot of people are playing D&D as a hobby. They're doing it for funsies. They're doing it to enjoy their time with their friend groups and their friends and family if they play with family, whatever. Spouses playing with each other just to enjoy the time with friends and spouses. People trying to find friends in an area they just moved to for free. All that fun jazz.
So, Julie, I thank you for supporting my argument that DM should be paid, as you've done that here
I know.
throughout the past 30 minutes or so. I
Yeah.
appreciate your support. As DMs should get paid. There's a lot of work that's involved that needs to be recognized, and that needs to be their time needs to be compensated. As for a hobby, yes, it's a hobby. But many businesses start as a hobby. Someone has an interest. For me, I had a computer repair and maintenance service business for about a decade, and that started with I like to tinker. One of my players recently told me that someone in their family is interested in making jewelry, bracelets, what have you, and that very well could turn into a side hustle, a business, because there's only so much jewelry I can make for myself. Then what? But I still want to do it because I enjoy the crafting aspect of that. Many of your vendors at your local fair who have their little canopy tent set up, whatever, it's their hobby making candles. And they've shifted that into a little side business. No reason why a DM can't shift that into a side business, that side hustle. Monetarily, I don't think it's sustainable as full-time work, 30, 40, 50,000 plus a year, unless you're one of these YouTube type people, which that's a whole different thing. That's not really not what we're talking about here. But yes, DM should be paid. There's a lot of work that's involved. There's a lot of time. There are cost factors. Minis, terrain, VTTs, software maps. There's a lot that's involved. Are all DMs created equal? No. Are all DMs worth compensating at the same rate? No. I go to a movie, some are made better than others. I go to the fair, they have different admission fees, right?
Vendors.
Because it's a bigger event, or they have higher quality entertainment at this one, so therefore they charge more, and they know that. So, does that change the fact that the fair should charge an entrance fee? No. They're providing a service, they're providing entertainment, no different than going to the fair, no different than going to the movies. That DM's time should be compensated. If I'm playing with my friends and I volunteer to do this, That's different. I volunteered. As for the type of compensation, bringing food to the table, that's not compensation. That does not make up for my time, the hours and hours I spent in preparation for this campaign and the ongoing maintenance, so to speak, week to week, in keeping this campaign going and being able to bring a quality game or quality level of entertainment, something that we all going to enjoy. And let's not forget the fact that if I'm running 3, 4, 5 games, that needs all the more attention, uh, time of mine away from my family and my personal interests, and that should be compensated. Done.
Done.
Now,
Yeah.
for the record,
That
I am
a
not
bad no.
I'm I am not compensated directly for any of the 3 games that I run. I run 1 in person, 2 online. No one compensates me at all. The closest I get to compensation is what Julie alluded to early on, that when we go to the game store on Friday night, I don't pay the entrance fee. That's the closest I get to compensation. Um, on a couple occasions, we got one player on Friday night, because Julie and I play at the same game store at the same time. We got one player there who is a nice guy. He's taken a liking to me, whatever. And every week he brings me a few chocolates out of his bag that he brings for everyone. He kind of pulls those out for me because he knows I like those, and he brings that to me, right? So is that compensation? No, I think
Sometimes he
I
buys
just
you
think
a whole bag of chocolate.
yes, he's being a nice guy, right? He's not compensated because we're not even playing at the same table, right?
No,
More recently, and
cross
again,
table.
it's not. This is not compensation. It's a token of appreciation, and there's a difference there. Okay. So a week or two ago, one of my players in person Friday night said, "Hey man, you were asking about this die, and here man, I got one for you." And he gave me the die that I've been so longing after, that I haven't been able to find as a solo
Is it
die.
a
It
dice inside of a
always
dice?
came, yeah, always, no, always came as like part of a multi pack, and I didn't need the multi pack. I wanted that one. He couldn't find the one, but he got me the multi pack so I could have that one die that I wanted. Is that compensation? In an indirect kind of way, but we were arguing really direct compensation, like show me the money, right? So to me,
I
I don't
want to know
view
what
that
dice
as
it is.
compensation. I view that personally as a token of appreciation. And being that
Yeah,
over time, since you're playing with friends or you start building that rapport over time, I appreciate that token of appreciation more than giving me $20 every week in terms of what I
correct.
appreciate. Now, $20, 4 players, $80. Yeah, I'd be more than happy to take $80 every week. I mean, that'd be friggin' awesome, right? But that's not why I started this. I started it because I wanted to play, and unfortunately, I couldn't find anyone to play with, in the sense that no one would DM. So I had to step up
Yeah, me.
and say, okay, I'll DM. And so now I got to go out, and I still have to go out and do the work and find players to play. In essence,
Oh,
you know, so case in,
advertising for 1E is a lot harder than advertising for 5E.
yes. But like I could have argued that too as well, that the amount of work that's involved in recruiting or finding players,
Advertisement.
there's work involved in that. And especially
Yeah, advertisement's rough.
if you're a paid DM, especially if you want a good group that's going to sustain and be there week after week, it takes time to kind of weed through those and find the right group. But
You have to
that
design
token
a
of
flyer.
appreciation, with the die, if someone made me their own, like if you would print me my own custom mini for whatever character I had, that appreciation,
Monster.
I means a lot, because that's more meaningful than handing me a $20 bill every week. But yeah, there's definitely money to be made, though. I will say that.
Oh yeah,
If I
there
can
is.
get,
There's a side
imagine
hustle
if you would, Julie,
involvement.
that all you have roughly 8 players every Friday night, and they pay a few dollars to get into the store, which is really
5.
not, because they're getting a meal out of it. Anyway, but
Yeah, they
they
pay
are
for
paying
pizza.
couple bucks out of pocket to get into the store and gain access to the play space. Not to gain access to you, Julie, to gain access to the play space. It doesn't matter what DM is there or no DM, they're still going to pay. So that's kind of a level playing field. But imagine for a moment if every player every week handed you a $20 bill. It's
Yeah,
160
8,
bucks.
7, 7 players.
Okay, so
5.
it fluctuates. So on the low side, you have 5 or 6. So that's still 100 to 120 bucks minimum every week, times 52 weeks.
Yeah,
It adds up.
yeah.
That right there is a little side hustle, right? Now
Well,
then,
part-time job.
so then, if you're someone who's worth has value, like moral values. I mean, Um, and if someone's paying you, then I'm financially incentivized to put in the work to bring them a good game,
More
right?
financially incentivized.
Right. So because sometimes it starts the other way, right? Where um, I'm gonna make a good game. We have fun, therefore you pay me for it. It can also go the other way. You pay me for it, so therefore I make a good game. So it
I
depends
make
upon on
an
the
even
DM's
better game.
perspective and how they're motivated in that. But yeah, so that would be good.
Boost.
That would be good money, you know. So in a sense, and again, I don't get paid for any of my games, but in a sense, we're leaving money on the table. Even if it was only $10 a person, you'd be taking home $100 every Friday night.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I have a party fund, and so for the party fund, people, it's always open, and it's always any quantity of money you want to throw at me. You want to throw change at me, you can throw change at me, and it goes to the benefit of the party, which is effectively into my pocket, but it is money that is only spent on, well, yeah, it's not really into my pocket. It's not funny money. I don't get to go buy
Yeah.
a pair of
Well,
shoes
well,
with it.
right. Well,
It goes
the reason
back
why I say that,
into
right,
the
right, it's the party fund. It's for the table, for the DM and all the players, right? It's for that group of people contributing to
it's me to buy
the game,
filament to make more
right?
minis.
So
It's me to
that
go out and buy paint to make terrain.
so that is. Um, I would just call
All
that
my mods.
neither direct nor indirect compensation because you're you're the manager of that fund, and you're using it for stuff for the game, like you said, to print your minis or terrain, whatever. And that's what a paid DM. That's what most people would expect a paid DM in person to bring to the table, so to speak, figuratively and literally. So you are essentially being, in a sense, being paid via indirectly through that fund. But just the same, you guys have debated before as to whether you're going to use that fund to get like a T-shirt or something. In which case, that money is not compensated in Julie. You know?
Fun doodads, but a lot of players don't. When I like, hey guys, let's get a fun T-shirt. They're like, nah, let's save it. I'm like, you
Save it
guys
for
want
what?
different dinner? Do you guys not want pizza? Do you want to go spend money on Chick-fil-A? Like, are we gonna go spend $120 on Chick-fil-A? You know? And sometimes they're like, yeah, let's do food. And then sometimes they're like, no, let's save it.
So,
What are we spending it on?
like, listen, like on a personal level, yes, you save money, you save money, you save money, you save money. But in this context, what are you saving it for?
What's
Like,
the point of having it?
you
Yeah.
have to spend it at some point. Like, you have to have something, whether it be minis, terrain, the next campaign book, whatever it is. But that's only a certain amount. That's kind of finite, right? That's a small amount
Our 4th of July
relative
party, I
to
bought a
your.
bunch of
Okay,
groceries
there you go.
and I used the party fund to buy groceries.
So the other thought I had with that was, like, if you guys say, well, instead of playing D&D this Friday night, let's all go out bowling. We've already paid for it. No out-of-pocket expense tonight.
Right. And
You
then
know,
it's just
and
for
then in addition to
funsies
that, they're saving the $5 they normally pay to the game store.
to go spend 7 or 12 at bowling.
But that's already, yes, and they have paid for that, but they've already paid for that into the
Yes.
fund.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. In advance,
So
almost.
so there's and we've talked about this before. There's a whole other topic like how do you show appreciation for your DM? How do you compensate your DM? What do you do if you have that kind of table fund? We've talked about that, so we don't need to rehash that now. But yeah, but there's lots of things that you can do with that. Um, and in this,
Was that a no audio video?
oh, I don't. It might have been. Hang on.
Referencing a video we have on private?
Let's see.
Did you title the ones that have no audio? Yeah, because you put like no audio in the
Yeah, I
parentheses,
did. I did.
right?
I did. Hang on.
That's smart. Smart of you. You can hear half the conversation.
Well, there were one or two where there was like no audio at all, and one or two where there was a
Oh,
half audio.
yeah, just
Um,
you or just me.
yeah.
It's
Well,
usually, I think
what
it's
makes for a
usually
good
just
player?
you.
DM and player organization, player agency, prepping for social, adjustments on the fly, ideas for creating, immersion. I think maybe you and I just talked about that like personally, like off camera.
Really?
Yeah, because the
I
two
know
the
you
two
and you
recent
and I
ones.
set up the party fund, but the
Um,
idea of the party fund.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Or that might have been like
I didn't want to be.
that might have been a small segment or like intro to it, but that wasn't the main topic. Traits of a good DM was a recent one with no audio, and the other one was homebrew versus house rule. Those are our two good discussions with no audio. But using maps, what to do with all that loot, rule of cool, pacing. Yeah, so we didn't have an actual. They wouldn't have that as a topic of discussion.
Oh, its own topic.
Yeah, I remember we talked about it. I don't know if it was on camera or not. If it was on camera, it was kind of maybe a prelude to whatever we were talking about. So
We can add it to our list of potential topics.
we certainly could. But then that
Bum, bum,
it kind of touches upon
this.
this in terms of compensation. How do you show appreciation? Yeah, 'cause I think that's what it was. Like, how do you show appreciation for your DM? What do you do?
I feel
Anyway,
like we touched on it a little bit. Maybe we segued on accident. We
that's what I'm
tangented.
thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Maybe it was for what makes for a good player. Because we did talk about that, right? What makes a good
We
player?
did. We did.
And maybe we touched on it in that video. What makes for a good DM? Maybe one of the two
That's
of
very
those.
possible. Yeah, like to show
Maybe
your
we,
appreciation. Be a good player. Show some appreciation. Show some
yeah,
love. Show some love.
tangented.
Um, but I will say, listen, if you are playing in a game where you are not paying to play, I think it'd be really a little weird, a little awkward, maybe even a little weird for you to show up one day as a player and say, "Hey, man, I really appreciate you running the game every week. Here's $20."
I think that would be awkward. Hey, I appreciate everything
I
you do.
I
I bet
do.
you
I
all these minis and
Well, no,
this
no, no, no.
terrain cost a lot of
No,
money.
that's
Here,
different.
have some money.
That's different. To hand me a die to buy me a sandwich, to say, here, I found these minis, I thought of you, is one thing. But to hand me a
No,
$20 bill
yeah.
would be a little,
That's what I'm saying. Hey,
yeah.
man, you're putting in a lot of work. All this stuff must cost a bunch of money. Here, have a little cha-chang.
I don't know.
Keep it up,
I
like a
no,
tip. At
I
that point, it's tipping.
right, right. That's what I'm saying. Like, and no one else does it.
Tip your DM.
So that's why I'm saying. Like, if you're playing at a game in person or online,
The,
and
the
there's no,
first, like session 0 and session 1, you could have a little like tip jar. Or like if it's online, you could have a little like where it says like, comment, subscribe, tip your DM.
so right, but
Uh,
right. So if that's laid out at session 1 or
or a
session
little
0, here,
watermark.
there's a website called Buy Me a Coffee or something, and you can toss me a couple bucks. That's one thing. But if you're playing in a game where there's no compensation at all, nothing has been established for that, and one player randomly walks in one day and say, "Hey, man, I appreciate it. Here's $20." I think that'd be a little awkward, especially all the other players see
Okay.
that, and that'd be a little weird.
No, I don't think they would. I don't think they would do it in front of everybody. I bet you they'd do it off to the side after the game is over. I bet you they'd slide it to you, which
Yeah,
again is
I
like
know
a
you're
tip.
saying. Oh yeah, like the little slip of hand there as your. Um,
Hey, bud.
but but even still, I think it'd be more socially acceptable as well as not awkward if they walked in with a bag of dice or, like I said, a set of minis or something, that token of
Yeah, a
appreciation,
gift is
and not
tangible.
cash money.
Yes,
Because
yes,
cash money
and
I
maybe
can use
they
for
they
whatever
feel
that's
like
not
it's
D&D related. That's truly compensation. If you bring me something, like in essence for me to use for the game, yes, it's mine,
you
but
me to use for
that's
you.
that's still in the context of the game. So yeah, like I don't know. So imagine for a second, one of your players walks up to you after the game Friday night and says, "Julia, man, I really appreciate it. Here's $20. Here's $50. Like, would you take it?" I mean, I don't know.
Well, so I have the party fund, so people just hand me money randomly
I
now.
Okay, but after the party fund, you're walking out the door. I said, "Julie, this is for you, not for the party fund." Like,
I wouldn't be embarrassed. I would be taken aback. I would be very appreciative. I don't think it would be a little awkward, but awkward in the sense of, look, I brought you a present, and you're like, oh, you have to bring me a present? Thank you so much. You know, um, that's how I would feel. Hey, look, I brought you. Here's this present, and it's like a card full of money, and then I'm like, I had people in the pharmacy do that for Christmas. They would just walk in with a Christmas present and be like, here, Julie, I love you. Merry Christmas. And I'd be like, thank you, I got you nothing. And they'd be like, don't worry about it, you do everything for me, you know? And that's like a tip, because I get paid by Publix.
Right, right, right.
Well, I
So,
got paid by Publix.
well, and that's a whole gratuity tipping thing versus paying. So I guess in the
Right.
context we're talking
Yeah,
about right now, if someone gave you $20 after the game, then I guess
it's a tip.
perhaps that should be
It's a
I don't want to say
present.
construed, viewed as, I guess I would have tried. I think if I viewed it as a tip, it might be easier for me to accept than if I viewed it as compensation. Because if I see it as compensation, then why are you the only one that's compensating me? Why is everyone else not
Yeah, why
compensating me
did the
as
whole party
well?
not agree to do it?
Right. Why
Yeah.
are you bearing all
I
that
took
on
it as a
you?
tip.
So I think if I viewed it as gratuitous, that'd be easier for me to swallow.
Yeah.
And
It's
to
okay.
my players, I'm not asking. This is not. There's no implication here. We're just
Everybody's gonna
discussing.
gonna Facebook pay
We're
Keith
just
on Tuesday.
discussing. Um, but no.
Gonna get a
So
bunch of
so
weird little
like
Cash App notifications.
so getting back to like quality of DM, right? Yeah, if the DM's not worth it, I'm not going to pay him. Of course, you don't know that the first time, right? You don't know that till you try.
Right. So
But so it's
maybe
only
it's, hey, buy me a, if you enjoyed the game, buy me a coffee. If you want to keep coming back, we can talk
but
about next steps.
there are a lot of paid DMs who will say the first session is free for that exact reason.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey, do you like,
to,
did you
to,
have
to try it
fun?
out
You want to come
and see if
back?
you like it. And I think that's more than fair for them to do that.
That's what
Um,
happens when you go clothes shopping. I mean, that's the same for your movie example. You see the trailers for these movies.
that's a good example, yeah. So you get to kind of
A
try it
trailer
before you
is
buy it.
free.
Now, sometimes the trailer can be misleading. Sometimes that one session
Oh
with
yeah.
that DM can be misleading. Maybe he had a great day out of the ordinary, a great session, and you loved it because it was all
And then
combat,
the
and you're a
next
combat
session is
person.
a
And then
slog.
and then the next session it's social and social and social, and he sucks at it. So you still don't know till you try it on for a few sessions. But um, so the level of compensation in these instances when DMs are compensated, I think should be dictated based upon the quality that they're bringing, and of course that's subjective, so to each their own. But I feel pretty comfortable at the risk of tooting our own horns. I think, Julie, that we each bring enough to the table that we could be compensated if we had the desire to do so. And
Oh,
of course, I say that
could I
because
say? Could I say, hey, the party fund is going to become the Julie fund? You know, would would everybody still probably pitch into it? Probably, because you know
yeah.
what I'm going to do? I'm still going to spend that money on fucking D&D because I'm a giant
See,
nerd.
and I think that'd be an interesting shift. Like if you have an established game in the middle of the game, you just say, "Hey guys, you need to pay me now." Yeah, that's just wrong, flat out
Yeah, they're going to
wrong
look at you
to
like,
do that.
what the fuck?
Yeah,
You're going to
I'd
have
be
the
like, no,
party
dude,
next
get the
week.
no. That'd be wrong. Now, if you're an unpaid DM and in the middle of a campaign and you want to be compensated, then start a second game or wait till that one is done. And then you say, hey guys, listen,
Yeah.
I'm ready to run this next game for you, but it's a lot of time. Whatever reason you have,
Last campaign
I'm
was really
I'm
rough.
flat ass
Hey, I
broke.
spent a lot
Whatever
of
it is,
money.
I need to be compensated.
Yeah.
You guys need to toss me whatever, $10 per person per week, whatever it is, right? But yeah, you can't do that mid game. That's like changing the rules halfway through the game.
No.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
At least not with expectation that everyone's going to buy into it. No pun intended. But um, yeah, I think that we could, and obviously we elect not to for different reasons. But yeah,
I think
so
yours is specifically supply and demand. Your specific case, I don't think you're charging it because your supply and demand isn't quite there. There is a supply and demand for DMs and D&D, but it's usually for 5th edition or 5.5 edition.
well,
The other editions, the 4, the 3.5, the 1+2, whatever jargon you are Frankensteining. I think the demand isn't as high. As for 5th edition.
well, well, yes, I
And so
agree.
you've
I
been
agree with that statement.
advertising more to try and get your player base larger.
I agree with that statement. You're 100% right. There's not as much demand for
And this
that.
isn't shade against you,
But no, no, no. But just the same,
because you are a good DM.
but just the same, there's not as much demand to play as a player as first edition. It's also not as much of a
Yeah.
demand for the DM as well.
Oh
Likewise,
no.
so it's
Right.
more of a, I'll
Right.
say, of a niche market for
And
first
I bet you
edition
those
because
old
everyone
school
plays for
guys.
first edition because everyone plays fifth edition. So while the supply or the demand for it is less, there's also less supply as well. So I don't think there's a
Right. Right.
disparity between the
Oh, you
player
think they're about
interest in
equal?
first edition and the DM availability in first edition. I don't think there's much of a difference between that versus fifth edition. I think that disparity is kind of probably about the same.
Oh, that the percentages are about equivalent.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably.
because there are plenty of
Like I said,
people.
the old school guys have probably graduated with the system as they grew up with the system. And I
There
bet you
are
a
a
lot
lot
of
that
these
have, but you
players
know what?
are
A lot of them have gone
nostalgia based.
back. They've gone back to
Yeah.
old school essentials and dungeon crawl classics and all these other kind of 1E type versions of D&D. So there's still this, as a result of that, there's still a reasonable demand. It may not be specifically for 1E, but at least
Nostalgia.
for that style of game, that older retro game, retro relative to 5E 50 years later. But um, and while there's not as much of a demand as a whole or much of an interest in the older retro D&D role-playing games, they're definitely out there, and the Facebook groups are there specific for first edition.
Yeah, there are specific like
Yeah,
first AD&D
yeah.
and first
So
edition
I've
only
never
and stuff
looked
like
for
that.
it, so I can only imagine they are there, but I have not come across Facebook, YouTube has not presented to me suggested any groups that are third edition or fourth edition. They present to me fifth edition stuff, a lot of which is not even coined as fifth edition. It's just generic Dungeons and
That's
Dragons
homebrew.
stuff, right? And of course, it's very specific stuff where the groups are called yada 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 first edition or 1E. So the 1E folks are pretty vehemently on board with the 1E. All right, Julie, we're at our hour mark, and I think if we continue, we're just going to be rambling on. So we made our argument about whether DMs should be paid or not. In short, to each their own. Every DM should bring value, and in some way, shape, or form, I think that should be at least recognized, if not compensated in some way, direct or indirect. And that's kind of my feel on it as in general. Okay, I don't ask money for my players. I don't expect money from my players. Um, Words of affirmation. Hey, great job. I appreciate it. We had fun. Yeah, and I like that
Special
feeds me,
snack.
right? That fuels me. That kind of makes me feel good. That hey man, I did a good job. Like that acknowledgement, that recognition. But for someone to toss me a die, or that, like I said, if you printed a mini for whatever character I may have had or whatever, yeah, I mean, all the more. But I don't need, I'm not looking for direct monetary compensation. If my players threw it at me,
Personal
I don't
choice.
know how I would react, to be honest. I think it'd
Would you
really
give it
be,
back?
I
No,
don't
you keep
like,
it. No.
I don't
No.
know. I don't know.
No.
I mean, over the years, there've been plenty of times someone has tried to tip me and I've turned it away
Yeah.
because like, oh,
I tried
I'm
to
just
pay
doing my
for my
job.
book.
I'm just doing my job, so I'm not going to accept that tip. I appreciate it, but I'm not going to accept that. I'm just doing what I'm paid to do. This is my job. I did not go above and beyond. This is my job. So,
You guinea pigged a book company to make me a book, and I offered to pay for it.
like you said, as the DM, like you kind of you knew what you were getting into. Well, a lot don't who are just
Volunteer.
starting, but I said I want to be the DM. Well, I don't want. I'm going to be the DM. I knew what I was getting into. So,
Or I have to be the
for
DM.
someone to give me a tip, like I'm just doing what I said I was going to do. Am I going
Yeah,
above and
doing a good
beyond?
job.
Well, compared to some
Probably
DMs,
not.
maybe. Compared to others, not. So I don't know. I don't know how I would react to that. Like if Artie walked up to me Friday night and said, "Hey man, here's $20. I really appreciate it." I don't know how I would respond to that.
You'd probably say, no, no. And he'd be like, take it. Take it, Keith. Take it.
Yeah, and that's probably exactly how that would go down. Like, oh, okay.
Okay, I'm
And
sorry.
then I'd go home with $20 more in my pocket, and I'd be super appreciative, you know.
And then
But
the next week, you would bring in a bunch of snacks, and you'd be like, Artie, this $20 bought this bacon. Look at all this work bacon I made you.
Orc bacon's so good. All right. Anyway. All
Look at
right.
all this. Look, with that $20, I bought 4 packs of bacon. Now we can have bacon 4 times.
4 pounds of bacon. All right. And on that note of orc bacon, if you haven't tried it, make it. It's delicious. You'll find it in the
It's
D and
very
D recipe
sweet.
books, whatever. But
So
on
good.
that note, I'm going to stop our recording. We're going to wrap it up here for Roll for Mastery, and perhaps we'll record another one here in a few minutes. Peace out.
Doses.